Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast, the podcast designed to help you feel, see, think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today is Patricia Ting, and she is based in Malaysia, but she's originally from Malaysia, but she studied podiatry in Australia, was there for 9 years, but decided to move back to Malaysia and set up her own podiatry business, which is called KL Foot Specialist Podiatry. So, Patricia, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I've been pretty good so far. Today's my off day, so Thursday's my off day.
So it's a fantastic day.
Yeah, in Malaysia, you have to work on the weekends because it gets pretty busy on the weekends.
Is that how it works? I didn't know that. What's the normal work week then in Malaysia?
I pretty much work 6 days a week. Only Thursday's my day off.
So everybody just takes a day off during the week, but most people work on weekends.
It depends, but in general, the Malaysian work life is just busier compared to the Australian. Yeah, I know Australians, you start at 8 or 9, you leave at 5 on the dot, but not in Malaysia. Yeah.
Before getting on here, and I did jump on to social media and stalk you a little bit. and I did see, I saw a lot of your posts and this is how I came across you in the first place, is I must have already been following you for some reason, or you posted something somewhere and I saw it come through in a feed, like a suggested feed. And it said, after 9 years, I've decided to go back to Malaysia. But then you did all these posts about the difference between Malaysia and Australia. And in Australia, it's got you're in the water swimming, you're traveling, you're doing things, you're talking about having time off. Malaysia, you're working.
You're working, yeah, basically.
So that makes sense now.
But I think how it started probably is I actually read your book.
Oh, okay. You have good taste in reading.
I hope so. I mean, but it helped me so much in establishing the clinic. Like, it was a good base. It gave me all these ideas on like how to look for locations, how to start up systems, everything. It was just a good, like a little guide, I guess.
Oh, that's great.
Started. Follow you.
Yeah, but that must be how we came across each other then. Because when I wrote that book, the whole intention of writing it, and I knew that as time went on, things would change in business, but I was trying to make that book to be almost evergreen, that at least 80 or 90% of it would never change, whether it was now or 20 years' time. The basis of actually what you need to do to open up a business would still stand the test of time. So if anyone doesn't know what the name of the book is, it's actually, if you're watching the video, it's behind me there. It's no secret there's money in podiatry.
And there is money in podiatry.
There is money in podiatry, but the interesting part, I don't really talk about money in the book.
Yeah, exactly. It's everything else but money.
Yeah, and because I always say that it
shows you how to make money. Yeah.
If you set everything up right and you just follow systems and you do the right thing by your patients, then the money just flows. It just can't help itself. It just chases you around.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, just everything starting first with the location, how you say to pick something, ground level preferably.
Yeah.
Not first floor. Yeah, just something simple like this. For example, I found this place, perfect, good visibility, center, like in the perfect location, but it was first floor and it had a couple of stairs. And I was like, Tyson say not to do this.
It depends. Yeah. Like sometimes people open up their podiatry clinic, but they'll open it down a dark alleyway, or it'll be in a mall, but it's right towards the back and around the corner, and the signage is really limited. They don't get that walking past traffic. So I don't think there's anything really wrong with being on the first floor, and there's probably nothing wrong with having steps if the clientele you're chasing can get up those steps.
That makes sense. But I think at this stage, it's still a bit unsure with the Malaysian market. So I just wanted to capture for now.
How many steps you talking about?
Maybe 20 or 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of steps. But you know what? You don't have to do everything that's written in the book.
Like I think it's good advice.
Yeah. It makes sense. If you can, sometimes too, to be on the ground floor, the price for rent is one price, and to be on the first floor, the rent sometimes can be half.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you look at the clientele you're trying to attract. So maybe being on the first floor is okay. Like I said, the book is a guideline. I think people can make whatever changes they want to. But anyway, that's enough about my book. I didn't get you on here talking about the book. I didn't. What I want to talk about. Okay, so you born and bred in Malaysia. I have been in Malaysia. I think I've been there
Oh, we have.
twice. Yeah, really loved it. Really good. And so you're born and bred in Malaysia. How did you choose podiatry in the first place? And then why did you choose to do it in Australia?
So both my parents are doctors, so always had
Okay.
that healthcare
Yeah.
influence in the family. But medicine takes a bit too long, and you gotta specialize, and you gotta do houseman. So we were thinking more allied health. Yeah. And then at the same time, my brother and sister were also studying podiatry.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a family thing, I guess now.
So in
So
Australia,
three of us are podiatrists. Yes, they are still in Australia.
I didn't know that. This is what I like when
Yeah,
you get people on the podcast. All of a sudden, you think you know certain stuff, and then all of a sudden you realize you know nothing.
you know.
I want to apologize to people too. If I sound a bit nasally, it's because I am a bit nasally. I did a podcast recording yesterday, and I edited it today, and I released it today. And when I was listening to it, I've gone, "Oh, guys, sounds like you got a really bad flu," which I don't, but I've just got a really blocked. My sinuses are all blocked up for some reason.
Uh, oh
So
no.
yeah, I don't sound like this all the time. But anyway, your parents are doctors. You got a
Mhm.
brother and sister who are already doing podiatry. Did they do it at QUT?
My sister did it at QUT. My brother and I did it at Latrobe.
Which one do you reckon was
Mhm.
better? Did you compare it with your sister? Like,
I heard QUT is pretty hard, but technically Latrobe it has much more established like a
yeah,
podiatry course, and they produce a much bigger batch. So
okay,
I
yeah,
hope I hope Latrobe, and I graduated with a master's then. So hopefully it's pretty yeah.
yeah. I did a QUT, so I'm biased. But what year did you graduate then?
Probably it was right before COVID, maybe 2019.
Okay, when did your brother and sister finish?
Probably the year before me.
Oh, so they both do it at the same time, or there was one either?
Yes, they did it at the same time.
Geez, and then
Yeah,
you do it straight after that. So 9 years in Australia, 6 years working.
yeah.
At what point did you decide to go back to Malaysia?
I would say actually right after uni, I had
Yeah.
a thought about it. I spoke to my partner, spoke to my parents. So I always knew I probably might end up in Malaysia eventually, but I wanted to get some experience first before I move back.
Okay.
Mhm.
And your partner, they were in Malaysia the whole time, or were they in Australia as well with you?
So we grew up together since 13 years old.
Yeah.
So we spent, yeah, literally half our lives together. But yes, he also studied in Australia as well.
And what did he do?
He studied software engineer.
Okay, not
Yeah,
podiatry.
he's not a podiatrist. Yeah,
I was about to say.
I
My
think
God.
we have enough in the family.
Yeah. And so your brother and sister, they've decided to stay. They're staying in Australia. Whereabouts are they based now? What state are they in?
Then Brisbane.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good area.
Yeah.
So you've packed up, gone back to Malaysia,
Mhm.
followed your heart, because I did see that
Yeah.
on the social media post. You had, I think, a love heart or something. Going, oh, my boyfriend. So I knew I knew all that. And the plan was to set up your own business.
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
has
So
that
in
been going?
Malaysia, actually, it's been pretty well. So I mentioned in Malaysia, there's just not many podiatrists. There's probably less than five. So it's probably likely better to start your own business. You can
Yeah.
work for someone else. Yeah. But I think what I decided from the start is I was going to get experience from Australia, get as much exposure as I can, then bring that back to Malaysia and just start something from fresh. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's been good. Yeah.
So with your business though, you're covering, I take it you're covering all aspects of podiatry. You haven't narrowed in, you haven't niched into one area, just doing everything.
I'm probably covering everything, but I'm trying to focus more on biomechanics. Yeah, like foot pain, orthotics, sports injury. Not too much on the diabetes aspect
Yeah.
because I think yeah that should be more sometimes more public health.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
because I
no.
think it's just yeah, it's diabetes is just it needs. I feel it needs multidisciplinary.
So
Yeah,
with you said there's only 5 private podiatry clinics in Malaysia. Are there other podiatrists that are working at hospitals and other areas? What's the
and in
population of
hospital.
Malaysia?
Oof, I need to Google that. Oh, that's so hard.
Oh, Google it then.
Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
36 million.
36 million and 5 podiatry clinics. Hmm. There's a lot of work there for you.
Yeah. But I think because there's not many of us, not a lot of people know what we do.
Well, that was going to be my next question because, okay,
Yeah.
you've got 5 clinics, but it doesn't matter what the population, if nobody knows what a podiatrist does. So how are you going about promoting podiatry over there?
So that's when I started using more of social media. So all my friends, family, they say social media is free,
Yeah.
use it. Yeah. I do a lot of community events. I speak with doctors, just everything really.
Okay. Now, are you busy?
Yes.
Okay. So
Busy
you're,
enough, I'll say.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's, well, pretty much you're working 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Now, have you got are plans that as your clinic grows, you are going to employ other people?
It's something I'm looking at, but it's a little difficult. So in Malaysia, there's no podiatry courses. So
Yeah.
you probably have to get someone from Australia, UK, or Europe.
Yeah, it makes
So
sense.
so it's a little hard for someone who wants to move their whole life to Malaysia, I guess.
If
Like,
somebody from Australia wanted to work in Malaysia, they're allowed to go over there and work. I suppose there's some form of visas that they've got to work out.
yeah, I think that it depends as well. There's expat visas and things like that. So I'm not too clear on that, but it is something I'm looking at in the future.
Okay, so any Australian, UK podiatrists listening to this, if you've wanted to work in Malaysia, which is a pretty cool place, we've got an apartment at the northern beaches of Cairns, and
Mhm.
the people that used to own the management rights, they've got an apartment there as well. Anyway, they sold the management rights, kept their apartment, and I think he's like 81 or 82. And when last time we saw him, I said, well, "Where are you living now? Because you're not at the apartment." He says, "Oh no." He said, "We live in Malaysia." They said, "We
What?
live." They said, "We live in Malaysia because it is absolutely fantastic." And
Wow, in Kuala Lumpur?
I'm not quite sure where they are, but they just said
Ah,
that they're in Malaysia, absolutely loving it. They said the Australian dollar is really good over there in comparison.
mhm.
And he said, and then we come back every 2 months for medical appointments and we stay in our apartment, then we head back over there again.
Ah,
He said there's a lot of expats, Australians, people from other countries that they catch up with all the time. And he says it's just an amazing place to live.
wow. And they're Australian, they're not Malaysian.
No, no, they're Australian. They're just like
Ah,
me.
this is just like maybe you should move here.
I could live in an Asian country easy. I could do it really easy. I don't think my wife would enjoy it, but I'd enjoy it. How do you find, like, even though, so people don't understand podiatry much now, so you've got to promote that.
Mhm.
But just once people understand podiatry, are there certain problems you see in Malaysia more than what you were seeing in Australia, or is everything about the same?
I think everything is about the same, but in Malaysia, you have to do a lot more. I would say so. In Australia, most of the your visits could be covered by insurance. You could be covered by the government,
Oh,
but
yeah.
in Malaysia, it's mostly out of pocket. So you have to show them the value. So by doing that, you just have to spend a bit more time explaining. Just have to a bit more education, basically.
Are Malaysians tight with their money, or if you explain something properly, are they willing to part with their money pretty easily?
And depends as well, yeah.
Yeah.
But Malaysians in general are pretty, or Asians in general,
Yeah.
are pretty tight with money anyway.
Well, see, I can't
Yeah,
say
so
that. That's why I'm glad you said that. I didn't say it. So, anyway, that was not me that
yeah,
said that. Just want to point that out. Uh,
yeah. I mean, they just want to see where the value is at, whether their money is
yeah.
going towards something that's meaningful.
But I
Yeah.
think that applies to everybody, though. If you're explaining anything to a patient will always follow your treatment plans. They will usually pay your fees and not complain about anything if you explain everything in a logical step by step process. You don't try and cut corners because you're in a hurry and you're trying to catch up with the next patient. As soon as you start cutting corners and think, I can just give them a brief explanation, that's when you probably lose patients. And patients can feel when you're rushing. And if they feel they're
Yes.
being rushed, yet all of a sudden you want them to part with a few $100 or $1,000 for whatever treatment plan, that's why sometimes they might say no.
Yeah, exactly. So compared to, like, for example, in Australia, I was seeing patients 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Here, I spend a little bit more time longer with them.
So go back to when you graduated, and you first started working, did you just have one job and did that for 6 years before leaving, or did you work in multiple places?
I had two jobs.
And were they
Yeah, but
similar
both were
similar
in
sort of jobs?
private. Uh, One was a little rural, but also private clinic, and then
Yeah.
another one was more in the city center, but also private clinic. So a bit of more exposure to different kinds of people.
And the type of patients you were seeing everybody across the board. Wasn't like one clinic was more sports orientated or anything like that.
No, it was more just general.
Okay. So you got back to Malaysia. You've gone back there,
Yeah.
and your clinic is it in the main city?
It's in a suburb, but not too far from the main city.
And
Maybe
why
30, 40
yeah,
minutes. Yeah.
why did you choose there? Is that where you grew up, or is it just an area you've wanted to live?
It's close to where I live, but it's also the opposite of where all the other podiatrists are at.
Ah,
So
smart.
yeah. Yeah.
So the rest of them are all in one particular area, are they?
Yeah. So I just thought, oh, I might as well take this area since no one started anything there.
And the other podiatrists that are they all Malaysian as well?
Um, Mixture. So actually there's like Singaporeans who actually come over from Singapore. They come
Okay.
in like once a month and then go back to Singapore.
It's just more
Yeah.
of a fly in, fly out type clinic.
Like yeah. But like I said, we don't have much options. So
So, and with your parents being doctors, are they general practitioners or are they specialists in some form?
mom's a GP, dad's a
Yep.
pediatrician.
Okay. Do they refer patients to you?
And mom's retired. Dad sometimes does, yeah. Like more like flat feet or warts, things like that.
And with your parents both being doctors, and they knew that, so their three kids are all going to do podiatry. They didn't want you to do medicine?
They did, but so one of my brother, he did do medicine for a while, but he's like, it's just not the thing for him.
Is that the one that
Yeah,
did
he
podiatry?
says, yes, that's the one who did podiatry.
Okay. Have you got are there other siblings as well?
There's one, the odd one out, which is the eldest. She did
Yeah.
architecture.
So when all three of you decided to do podiatry, did your parents actually pull you aside because you were the last one to do it? Sort of go, you thought about you might want to do something else. We've already got two podiatrists in the family.
I mean, so before I did podiatry, I looked around. So I was like, either dentistry, either physio, either OTs. But I still think podiatry, I'm much more interested in podiatry. Like there's so much variety. You do surgeries, you do orthotics, you can see kids. If you want to see diabetic ulcers, you can do that. So I thought having that variety made it interesting.
Yeah, diabetic ulcers. Not never been my favorite. But this
Yeah.
some people thrive on it though. Some people absolutely just love that type of work. And I think thank God someone does, because if it was left to me, they wouldn't be getting treated.
I mean, I'll still treat them, but it's a long process with diabetic ulcers. You
Yeah.
really have to have the patience for it.
Yeah, I think so. So with Malaysia itself, why is Malaysia a fantastic country?
Oh,
Oh,
the food.
sell it. Yeah, I want you to sell the country, because down the track, when you're looking for someone to come and work with you one day, they're going to go, wonder why. Then they can listen to this episode, and they get to listen to you, and they also get to find out why Malaysia is fantastic. So, first thing you said was the food, which I agree.
100% is the food. But I think Malaysia is just such an easy place to live in. Like it's multicultural. Like when you come in, you could probably fit in quite easily. We speak English quite. Everyone speaks English, so if
Yeah.
you can speak English, it's pretty easy as well.
How come everybody speaks English?
You learn that. You learn that at school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we speak. We speak multi languages. So Malay, English. Some people speak Mandarin, Tamil. Yeah.
Do you speak Mandarin
Yeah, I
as well?
speak Mandarin.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you talk to someone and you just know when you're talking to them that, yeah, I knew you were going to say you spoke another language as well.
Mandarin. Yeah, you can't survive in Malaysia if you don't speak any other languages. You gotta be. It's just like when we speak, it's just a mix of languages, and that's why it makes us Malaysian, I guess.
So you got the food, the culture, and everything else. The country itself, like from the parts I've seen of it, it's really nice, warm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everything's
Yeah.
cheaper. Yeah, but warm. I think warm's a big one. So when I studied in Melbourne,
Oh
it
no.
was just too much for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
too cold. Yeah,
Especially being down there
too
for 9 years,
windy.
that was a good effort. I love Melbourne. It's one of my favorite cities, but the weather is just too cold for me.
Yeah, exactly. Not too long.
No, I can take it in short stints, but anything beyond that, I couldn't do it all the time. So one question I was going to ask though is because you just said about it's cheaper over there.
Hmm.
Therefore, say for example, you remember what an initial consultation was in Australia when someone was paying it?
Yes, yes.
How much was that?
I think in Australia it was around $80, $90.
Okay. What's the comparison in Malaysia then? Because to live over there, everything's cheaper. So therefore, I take it
Cheaper.
people wouldn't be paying the same amount of
So
money.
yeah, so probably around $60, $70.
In
If I have
comparison, it's less, but in comparison, because I have no idea what the exchange rate is between Australia and Malaysia, but
around three, yeah,
I say it's about 3 to 1.
yeah,
Okay, so if someone's paying 60 compared to 90, that's actually really good. No wonder
yeah.
you're
I
happy.
mean, yeah, but like I said, you still have to really. That's why I have to like show them the value.
Yeah,
So, for example, in Australia, if you're doing a biomechanical assessment, in my previous clinics, we would just get them to walk up and down the hallway and
yeah.
be like, "Yeah, you have flat foot or something." Yeah, but here I have a treadmill, I have a plantar pressure scan. It's just a bit more thorough.
Well, it's a bit more professional. I think just someone walking up and down a hallway and saying, "Oh yeah, you need orthotics," it's not doesn't do anything for the profession.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
know some people do that. So when you set your clinic up, you found the
Mhm.
location. Well, you read my book, you found the location. And so right from the start, did you invest in certain equipment right from the first day, or did
Oh,
you buy it as you made some money?
invest straight away. So shockwave,
Yep.
laser, it's a have must, I would say nowadays, especially if you want to work towards more the biomechanics, the
Yeah.
sports kind of area. You need a shockwave and laser.
So right from
Mhm.
day dot, you bought that equipment and had it in
Yeah.
your clinic.
Yes.
That is
And then I have
fantastic.
all the plantar pressure scan, the treadmills. So it's a bit more. I basically thought it through.
Yep, that's good. So when it comes to making an orthotic, where do you get your orthotics made?
I still get it made in Australia.
So you just send a scan across and they post them to you?
Yes.
Okay. So you're doing the orthotics, sending away, getting them sent back to you that way. But I like
Mhm.
it from day dot because I know sometimes people will set up a clinic, and I always believe they set their clinics up too early, and they don't have the money behind them. They'll set something up which is really bare bones, and they don't have the equipment that is really going to help the patient because they.
Mm.
And I think if they just waited 1 or 2 years and saved up the money and then actually did it, they could set up a really professional clinic from the first day. Did you borrow money to set this up? Was this money you saved, or did you? You don't have to tell me
Mixture.
this. A bit of a mixture.
Yeah, mixture.
Okay.
So obviously, having my some of it, my parents helped me, and then some
Yep.
of it's mine.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's what parents are there for.
Mhm. Parents, but I mean, yeah, it wasn't cheap. It's definitely not cheap.
Oh no.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
we're
with
not.
the shockwave and laser, that's
Yeah,
more
because
expensive than.
that's what I was going to ask you too. With your shockwave and laser, is there a supplier in Malaysia or in Asia that you bought it from, or did you have to same thing order that from Australia and get it sent to you? What was the process of doing that?
So somehow I managed to find I'm sure you heard of Dollar Class, the EMS.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually have a supplier here.
Oh, cool. That's easier then.
Yeah, so I was quite lucky with that. First, if you get them
Yeah.
ordered in, it's a big process. You got to get the Malaysian the medical device approval, and you need to be officially someone who imports them. It's a long process. So having a supplier is much easier.
I still just
Mm.
think anyone listening to this, just pay attention. If you're thinking of setting up your own business, is yeah, just wait a little bit longer and set up a professional clinic than going in too early and setting up something that is a bit like Mickey Mouse. I mentioned if I did a podcast episode on it, or I mentioned it on a podcast, but I know I did shoot a video on it, that my mum lives down the Gold Coast, and her doctor said, I've got a referral here for you to see a podiatrist. And she said, my son's a podiatrist. They go, well, is he down here? She went, no. And she went, okay, now go and see a podiatrist. So mum rang me and said, yeah, just go and see mum. So she goes to the local podiatrist, and she reckons she walked in. There was no one at the reception counter. It was this pokey little room, couple of chairs, nothing matched. And there was no one at the reception. And then the guy comes out, and the door was open. She could see into his room. And she said it was just like this bare room that had a chair there, a bit of a bench and a desk. And she goes, I remember your clinic. It had walking platforms, and it had equipment, it had machinery. And she goes, I remember how cool your clinic looked. And she goes, and this was the furthest thing from a cool looking clinic. She goes, so when he came out and said, can I help you? She went, no, I don't think you can.
I'm leaving.
And she did. And she left. She refused to go and see him.
Yeah, but it's true. Like first impressions matter.
Yeah. And I get annoyed. I get annoyed a lot. I'm getting older now. I get a lot of things annoy me. But when, podiatrists will complain about, another podiatrist doing something in their advertising, they go, oh, that seemed a little bit unprofessional. And they might put a complaint in the registration board, and the registration board will give them a tap across the side of the head. Don't do that again. And it's all fine. But they'll have other things where they talk about professionalism and ethics, but then they'll let someone open up a podiatry clinic that is embarrassing.
You have to start from somewhere. Yeah.
I totally get it. You've got to start from somewhere. And I look back at my first clinic ever in 1989, and I look at that clinic and I see clinics today that look like my clinic in 1989. And I'm thinking, I had no choice in 1989.
Well, yeah, I had a choice.
Yeah, they
we
had
have
a choice.
Moved forward since. Yeah,
we have moved forward since then. We've gone beyond the ultrasound machine, and it's just things have changed so much. Yet some of these clinics are still getting opened up, and I don't think it's the best thing for the profession. Even though I know you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, but again, not all doctors are good. Not all podiatrists are good. You still have to.
Yeah, that's true.
For the good ones. Yeah, just because we're all healthcare professionals doesn't mean we're all the same standards, I guess.
To me, I always think you work at the standard you set for yourself. And for me personally, when I had my first clinic in 1989, that's all I could afford. But then in 1994, when I was in Cairns, I had my clinic there. It was much better than the one I had on the Gold Coast. My clinic in 2004 kicked ass compared to my 94 one. In 2014, didn't even resemble. It was just this progression as time went on. You just kept reinvesting, buying the equipment.
Pushing yourself. Yeah.
Pushing yourself, but trying to push, hoping that because I think if the whole profession tried to improve in just a little bit across the board every year, it would go in leaps and bounds. It'd be so cool. So much better.
Yeah.
So exactly. I'm going to ask you, have you got a receptionist?
Yes.
Thank God. I didn't ask you beforehand. I didn't know what you were going to say. I thought if you said no, I'm going to go, Patricia, come on. No, that's good.
It did take me a while. It took me 2 months. And I mean, I had lots of people coming in for interviews, and they were all right, but it just didn't feel like the one.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like your book said, wait for the right one. Like, don't bother. Sometimes it's no point wasting time on these people and training them up if you really feel it's not the right fit. So that's what I did. So I just waited for the right person, and honestly, the best decision. I think having a right staff just changes everything.
It's so true. Like sometimes you can't fix stupid, and there's some people.
Not even stupid, just like laziness, like personality. Yeah, it's hard to change. Yeah. If they're not interested. Yeah.
I remember when we were doing job interviews once for receptionists, and one of the questions I would ask the receptionist, well, I'll tell you there's two stories. First story is one of the questions I used to ask the receptionist was, oh, by the way, what did you think of our website? That was one of our interview questions. And they go, oh, have you got a website? And in my head, I'd be going, if I was going to work for a business, I want to suss them out. Who owns it? Who works there? So we'd ask that question, and probably only about 20% of the people would go, Oh, actually, yeah. And I thought your website was really cool. That's why I knew who you were when you walked out. And I know that Sam that's sitting out the front because I've seen it on the website. And you set
Mm.
it up and told us a year we were set up and what the emphasis of the clinic was. And I was just going, you're ticking all the boxes.
Yeah.
So that's a really good question that if anyone's thinking about interviewing a receptionist or a podiatrist,
Yeah.
anybody, ask them
So,
that
so,
question.
so, so that's why I did like something simple. I'll be asking them, like, what do you know about podiatry? And
Yeah.
some of them, they didn't even Google it. They haven't even Googled it. Yeah, but I was quite desperate for receptionists. I was like, oh, maybe I can teach them. But I think these things you can't be taught. Just showing enthusiasm, showing interest. If they're not doing that at the interview, it's probably not gonna work out later on.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
also a good question. Yeah, what do you know about podiatry? Because if you're applying for a job somewhere, you think it's at a
at
podiatry clinic.
least.
Maybe I should have an idea what it is because you could have told them some really scary stuff. Well, this is what we do. We do this with animals. And we go, was unaware of that. Oh, the second story that I was going to say was when we did our interviews for receptionists, the last time we did it is we did a group interview. We had them all turn up at the same time, had them all sit in the room. It was about 8 of them all sitting in the reception area. So we did it
Yeah.
after hours. And I got up and did, yeah, normally you do your interview and you tell them the same information and you have them to repeat yourself. I gave them all the same spiel at the front at the beginning. Then I took each one in for just a 5-minute chat just to ask the questions about what do you think of the website? What do you know about podiatry? Those type of
Ah,
questions. But what
yeah.
I did, Sam, my receptionist, would sit at the front counter. Her job was to watch the dynamics of the group. Because when I'd bring them
Oh.
out, I would say, "Oh, look, you can leave now if you want, or you can just stay." Because when I finish with everybody, I've probably just got something in closing I'm going to say, but you don't have to stay. Some left,
Mhm.
and
Oh.
yeah, some left. Most stayed, but I had Sam looking at the dynamics of the room. Who was the person that spoke the most? Who didn't talk? Who domineered?
Mm.
Who was the friendliest? And we'd try and chat to multiple people. So these were all the things we were taking into account, how they reacted with each other, because we thought
Exactly.
that's how they're going to react in a team.
Interact with clients.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
how they answer the questions. And those who left didn't stay to the end. Yeah, that was a black mark again.
Yeah. It's a yeah. It's a yes and no, and they pick no.
Yeah, yeah. You have two choices, yes or no. Oh, you've chosen no. Okay. Um, yeah. So once you got your receptionist, though, did it made your life a lot easier to work as a
Oh,
podiatrist?
100%. I think having a receptionist, initially when I started, I told myself, it's just me in the clinic. I'll be fine. I'll pick up some calls, I'll
Yeah,
treat some patients. Yeah. But then it got too busy. Like I couldn't handle both things at once and just too many messages coming in. It was just, yeah, having a receptionist just changed my life. I think it's
yeah.
especially if you have a good one. Yeah.
And it's not just because someone can answer a phone and make an appointment doesn't mean they're a good receptionist. You want them doing all that, being really good with your patients, but doing all those other things in the background that just keeps the business functioning and running really well.
Exactly. Just them being at the front and just speaking with patients, it just makes the experience so much better, I think, for clients.
I think so. Well, I think you've got a really good attitude as a podiatrist, just your whole bubbly personality. And you can just pick up, you've got obviously got this like joy for life, which is fantastic. And so I think you're a fantastic representation of podiatry in Malaysia, especially considering they don't have many over there at the moment. So if we're going to only have a couple of them, we need some really good ones. We need someone representing the profession well.
Yeah. So yeah, if anyone wants to come to Malaysia, message me.
So your business, KL Foot Specialist Podiatry, so they can hunt you
Mhm.
down that way. Follow you on. I'll put your Instagram details and all that in the show notes. But what is the handle on Instagram if people want to go and hunt you down beforehand?
Pat the podiatrist.
Pat the podiatrist. Do you prefer to be called Pat or Patricia?
Um, same.
Same, same. My mum is called Patricia, and if
Ah, oh my God.
if people called her Pat, she used to just get so annoyed. Don't call me Pat. So she goes by Trish.
No,
So
most people just call me Pat. I mean, it's easy for them, so easy for me.
okay, Pat the podiatrist. It is. So, Pat, the podiatrist, before we finish up, is there anything else you want to say about your whole experience of being in Australia, moving to Malaysia? Any words of wisdom?
If you do start a business, I do think you just really have to put yourself out there.
Just got to do it.
You just got to do it. You might have to be on social media. You have to speak with strangers. You just have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, it's not always comfortable.
But it works.
And if it was easy, every single person would just do it. So there has to be a little bit of friction, or otherwise, what's the point?
What's the point? That's true. No pain, no gain.
Yeah. Okay, Pat the podiatrist, I want to thank you for coming on the Podiatry Legends podcast, sharing part of your story, giving us a bit of insight into podiatry in Malaysia. And yeah, I hope over the next few years, decades, it really grows over there. Your business just absolutely flourishes. If I'm in Malaysia, I will come and say hello to you and your partner.
Yeah, come by.
And yeah, well, I'll just drop in. But I will let you know I'm coming. But if there's anyone who's thinking about going to Malaysia and working over there, is reach out to Pat the podiatrist.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And look forward. I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye.
Yeah, bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Patricia Ting today. I love stories like Patricia's because they remind us just how powerful this profession can be. She studied in Australia after graduating, worked hard for 6 years to gain experience, then returned to Malaysia with a clear vision to build something special. What makes the story even more remarkable is that she did this in a country where podiatry is still relatively unknown. Yes, there's a population of 36 million people, but there's only a few podiatry clinics. So instead of seeing that as a problem, Patricia has seen this as an opportunity. She invested in quality equipment from day one, created a professional clinic environment, embraced social media, and focused on educating both patients and medical practitioners about the value of podiatry. There are several lessons here, several takeaways that I want you to pay attention to. First, if you're thinking about starting your own clinic, preparation matters. Patricia didn't rush in. She gained experience, saved money, and then developed a clear plan. Second, first impressions matter. Your clinic environment, your systems, and the team, your team, the one that you develop, all shape how patients perceive your professionalism. And third, if you want your business to grow, you need to put yourself out there. That may be posting on social media, speaking at community events, networking with referrers, or simply having more conversations with people about what you do. And sometimes it is uncomfortable. And you need to remember that podiatry offers extraordinary opportunities. Whether you choose to work in Australia, Malaysia, UK, Canada, or anywhere else in the world, the skills you develop as a podiatrist can take you almost anywhere. And if you're feeling stuck with your business, unsure about your next move, or you're thinking about opening your own clinic, I would love to help. Just go to my website, tysonfranklin.com, click on all the links and learn more about the one-on-one coaching that I offer podiatrists. Anyway, that's it for me this week. I want you to look after yourself, look after your family, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now. Well, if you're still here, that means you are ready for this episode's Easter egg. And before I get into it, just once again, I want to apologise for how nasally I sound at the moment. I just, got all these sinus problems. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about is about planning and reality. And there was a quote that I saw recently, and it said, when plans meet reality, it begins to change. So it doesn't matter what plans you have in place. You can spend as much time planning as you want, but until you actually start taking action on those plans, do things actually start to evolve and happen, and they will change. So it doesn't matter what plans you have in place. Once you start implementing them, reality sets in and things will begin to change. And that is why you cannot sit back and just wait till everything is perfect, until you think you've got all your plans sorted out before you take action. Have the idea, do some planning, don't jump in blind, but take action as soon as you can, because as soon as you take action, reality will set in and things will begin to change. That's just the way it is. I hope you get something from that, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye.